Well, to discuss Russian economic sanctions further, we're now joined by Bill Browder, the head of Global Magnitsky Justice Campaign. Bill Browder, thank you so much for being on Euronews tonight. Now, we're constantly hearing about these fresh waves of sanctions from Western leaders. In their current form, are they going to really hit Putin where it hurts, do you think?
Well, I've read the sanctions lists pretty carefully, coming out of the United States, out of the EU, out of the UK. And over the course of the last few days, the lists and the sanctions have come to a level which is almost good enough to really affect the calculus of Vladimir Putin. I would say that there's still two remaining things that need to be done. The first you just mentioned, which is SWIFT, to unplug Russia from the international banking system. And the second is to sanction the oligarchs, the top richest oligarchs in Russia who are holding Vladimir Putin's cash. If those two types of sanctions were put in place, I think it would really, truly grind Putin to a halt, because he'd have to really look carefully at he'd effectively lose an enormous amount of money and put Russia back to the Stone Age as far as the economy is concerned.
Well, Bill, we've heard a lot about SWIFT finally on the table. You say it's going to finally, grind Putin to a halt. But what if it doesn't actually do that? Then what? This is the big sanction that we've been waiting for. What if it doesn't actually work?
Well, it's not clear that it's going to work right away. So Putin is a guy who definitely can't lose face. He's a guy who can't show weakness. He's a guy who has to be defiant no matter what comes at him. But just very realistically, if Russia is disconnected from SWIFT, the economy will implode. It will completely, it will be a catastrophe for the Russian economy. And if the major oligarchs were sanctioned, then Putin's own wealth would be wiped out and completely inaccessible. And those are two very material things to Vladimir Putin. Now, what does he stop attacking Ukraine on the day that happens? Surely not. But does it put him in a position where everything that he's worked for the last 20 years has been sacrificed? Surely yes. And at that point, we are then in a position where we have some leverage, where there's going to be a real conversation, a real discussion, and perhaps during those conversations,